And Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe is now heaping blame on alleged misappropriation of COVID-19 response funds at the feet of suspended Kenya Medical Supplies Authority Chief Executive Officer Jonah Manjari. Kagwe appeared before the National Assembly's Health Committee today, where he dismissed allegations that the CEO was acting on orders from him in contravening procurement regulations. Zainab Ismail followed those proceedings and now brings us the details.
Hold on, because you have had a chance.
In the latest twist to the COVID-19 millionaires saga, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has rubbished claims by suspended KEMSA CEO Jonah Manjari last week that he received instructions from him and PS Susan Muchache on procurement of COVID-19 protective kits.
Was there any individuals who were forcing you to make some of these decisions outside the board sanctions?
As I said earlier, there was
which PS, and be specific, which PS?
Susan Muchache.
Yes.
There were requests from the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable...
Written or by phone call?
Either phone calls, most of them SMSs and phone calls.
Yes.
We did have from the National Emergency
Who
Response...
Cabinet
Secretary? CS? It's good you give us names for the record.
We've said Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Yes.
My job is, has never been, and will never be, to ask anybody to break the law, any saga, any organization that we are in, and I haven't. But so it is up to an individual. And when you go wrong, then you don't go wrong because the CS told you to go wrong. You go wrong because you're a poor manager. And you don't know how to manage. And you don't know how to use the law in terms of procurement procedures.
CS Kagwe and PS Muchache dismissed assertions that they had urged Manjari to particular individuals and companies.
At no time did the ministry submit a list of suppliers from which KEMSA would buy. What the ministry did was to simply adopt the rationalized budget, because remember at that time we were in the middle of a crisis, but on the other hand, we had to ensure that we spent what we had available.
I have no interest in any company at all that is working or trading with PPEs. There are over 60 companies. The companies that deal with the supply all sorts of materials at KEMSA, to my understanding, are more than 60 companies. And I have no interest in any of them that has either supplied or going to supply.
The ministry acknowledges that KEMSA went beyond the stipulated budget, at times even bypassing the ministry and dealing directly with the National Treasury.
Looking at what had been procured and what the ministry had asked for, actually, the institution had gone way beyond the request. So at that point, it was just a question of capping them at 758 million so that we could be able to process that.
The money that was spent on buying PPEs, on buying equipment, on buying commodities, on buying ventilators, all those things are in the warehouses of KEMSA. There is no loss in as far as the purchase of quantities and commodities is concerned. The only loss that is envisaged is the one that I'm talking about, which is essentially an operational loss, as is going to be made by all other institutions in Kenya for the time being. So I want to clarify that issue very, very clearly, and to say what we are dealing with is operational losses because of the price drop.
CS Kagwe is now advising the Medical Supplies Authority to find a way to dispose of the excess COVID-19 equipment bought at a higher price at the current market rate to reduce the huge loss.
It is to the ministry, and particularly you, to convince us and Kenyans that you never interfered. And I will ask you, how many times did you visit KEMSA?
I am actually feeling bad to say this because it is something that I should not say. But I have just been so caught up with the management of COVID-19 that I have not personally ever been to KEMSA.
The Health Committee is tomorrow expected to sit with the directors of the companies said to be involved in the alleged scandal, among them Megascope Healthcare Limited, which is said to have been awarded a tender amounting to more than 190 million shillings. Zainab Ismail, NTV.